A very good morning, Uganda. It is time for us to take a look at our GMU agenda. I must tell you, this is a very interesting topic. I have a colleague of mine here at Shibisi who used to say he's going to become a barder. I don't know how far he has gone with that. I'll ask him after the program and then see and find out from him because he always covered birding back in the day. So Dennis, I'll check on you after here and find out if you became one or not. But real quick, what we're focusing on indeed is looking at biodiversity and looking at the fact and how we can invest in biodiversity for the benefit of the people. With me in studios, right next to me here, is Judith Mirembe, of course, who is one of the officers at Nature Uganda and also chairperson Uganda Women Birders. At the extreme end there is Achilles Biaruhanga, who is indeed the executive director, Nature Uganda, and we are going to be looking at what this does mean to us, especially as a product in the tourism industry. And of course, if we do understand what it is, I hope by the time we're done with this conversation, everyone out there would have understood what
that's why we are here.
We mean by this. But you're very welcome.
Thank you very much. Good morning, viewers.
Indeed. Now, first of all, thank you for your time, and I do wish also, I'm one of those people that should have picked a thing or two by the time we're done with this conversation, but let us understand, when someone says biodiversity, what do we mean by that?
Thank you very much, our facilitator, and we are happy to be here again. I remember we were here last when we were talking about World Animal Day, and now we are here talking about biodiversity and birding, and we are happy that UBC continues to support these programs. So thank you very much. As you have just mentioned, my name is Achilles Biaruhanga. I work with Nature Uganda as the executive director. And Nature Uganda is a research and conservation organization. We are a non-government organization that supports research and conservation of nature. So birds that we are going to talk about today is just one of the programs that we are looking at. But we have others on education and awareness. We have got conservation projects out there looking at specific conservation of species and habitats. And we have got also a membership program where people can become members and continue to participate and contribute to these issues. So you don't have to wait until it's Big Birding Day and we come to talk here. But we have got programs that are running throughout the year. So, but we are happy to be here anyway. Your question, biodiversity, is a very difficult question for most people. But biodiversity is a word that has got two words in it. There were two words that were joined to form one. It is biological diversity. So we're talking about biology and diversity of nature. In fact, the correct definition of biodiversity is the variety of life on Earth. So when you see animals, you see plants, you see insects, you see, even when you see insects, there are many types. You see plants, there are many types. You see birds, there are many types. So a combination of all that diversity, of all that biological diversity, is what was termed into the word biodiversity. But it can even be more complicated than that. You can have biodiversity at genetic level. So, for example, we are all human beings, but we are not the same. We are different. She looks different, you look different, I look different, I smile differently. That is diversity at species level, at genetic level. We are completely different. But even when you look at species, when you look at birds, you will get vultures, you will get cranes, you will get bulbuls, you will get... So there is also diversity at that level. But also when you go out there in nature, you will find there are areas where you have a forest, another area you have got a wetland, another area you've got open water, another area you have got a grassland, and all those contain different ecosystem profiles and ecosystem services. So you can also have diversity at ecosystem level. But I think we are not going into that, that so much detail. But to answer your question briefly, is that when you look at diversity of life on Earth, look at different plants, look at different animals, look at different insects, look at different things, living things, that is all diversity of life, and that's what they call biological diversity, and in the brief, it is biodiversity. Right.
Very interesting and clarity on that, really. Now, but let us look at why we should actually care. You know, when we talk about diversity, well, why should it be something we care about?
Actually, it's not that we care. We are part of biodiversity.
Yeah.
We are part of that diversity of life. It is that diversity that supports us, that supports life. We wouldn't be there if that diversity was not there. But you can look at, if you want to be a little bit more selfish as human beings, and I think that's where your question is coming from, is why should we care as human beings to protect biodiversity that I've talked about? This diversity, this variety of life on Earth, why should we care to protect it? But what is it that we live on as ourselves? Let me take you briefly to the simple biology that we had in primary and secondary. That for us human beings, we breathe out carbon dioxide. The plants breathe out oxygen. Okay? And we breathe in oxygen. It is the one that supports our life. Without oxygen, you can't live. So which means without plants, you can't live. So on that basic fact, that plants are providing you air to breathe, we need to take a lot of care. But you can also look at food. What food do we eat? We eat this diversity I'm talking about. We eat plants, we eat animals. This is all diversity we're talking about. How about money? Raising money, and we are going to be talking more about it. We get tourists coming here. What do they come to see? They come to see lions, they come to see elephants, they come to see gorillas, they come for bird watching. You see my colleague has got binoculars. I don't know, they have got birds. You know, they come here to just appreciate this beauty of nature, and they leave money behind. And when you get this money, that's what you use for infrastructure development, for education, for health. So on that note, very, very, very important. So, but to be more specific, is that we are part of this diversity. Without it, we can't live. But even more than that, we depend on this diversity for our own living, whether it is for food, other ecosystem services, breathing. And that's where you find that people have cut down forests in some areas, and water has got lost. So you cut down a forest, and there is no more water. You drain a wetland, the wells are what? The wells are dry. Because these systems are all connected. And since we have got a bit of intelligence to manage these things, we should be a bit more careful to make sure that whatever we do does not create a problem with ourselves. We can sustain this life because it's the one that sustains us as well.
Very interesting. Now, let us go back to species diversity and fall onto the birding as a product in tourism. But I'll ask, first of all, you look very good like that, I think. Thank you. I think most people would want to dress up and stuff. But before we get into details, real quick, how did you get yourself into this? You just say, I'm a bird lover. Because those are things people rarely think about or involve themselves in.
Myself, I was raised up by a family of bird watchers. My guardian runs a tourism company, a bird watching company. So unfortunately, the family, all his sons are boys, so I was the only girl. And for some time, I had to learn to live like the boys. When it's early in the morning, it's 6 o'clock, you're waking up to go to Mavera, everybody else has to wake up. So it was inevitable. But with time, I got to like this. I picked it up as a hobby. I loved going out. You go out, you meet new friends. The birds are beautiful themselves. So just spending time out made me love bird watching. And then at the university, I happened to do environmental science, a bachelor's. And everything started to make sense, learning how the role birds play in the ecosystem. And then looking at the scarcity of jobs, I thought if my guardian is doing this as a livelihood, I can also do the same. So I am a bird watcher as a hobby and as a job, and I love it.
So you basically hit one bird, two birds with one stone.
Yeah, but we don't hit birds. No, we don't hit birds these days. Actually, now we conserve 2 birds with one effort. With one effort, we don't hit them. Otherwise, then you have nothing to conserve.
Very interesting. Now, you've talked about a couple of birds, a number of birds. How many could you know, really? Offhand, if someone asked you how many.
So the birds are tricky. We identify birds by looking at them and the colors, the shape, and then by calls. We have a bit of jargon, so calls are bird songs. So when a bird sings, we say it's calling. So right now we have about 1,080 species of birds. Those are different bird species, and I know about 900 of them. I can identify.
That's something. Out of 1,080, you know, yes. 900, more than half of them.
Yes.
Interesting.
So I can tell them by the calls and by also looking at them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. This year you expect to add a number.
Yes.
I think, because I think that's how it works.
Yes,
anyway,
definitely.
so let us look really at the bird species in Uganda. Is this something that, as a product, or rather as God bless us with all the species, is this something that we do appreciate back to the personal level, like an individual, community, up to what it is as a product? Because as a product, it could be there. But don't you find hardships in terms of appreciating what birds could be to us?
Not me. Me, I appreciate. But I think there are so many people out there who still need to appreciate the beauty that we have. Uganda is such a beautiful country. If you have traveled, those who have had an opportunity to travel outside here, we are a beautiful country. You take a plane from here, just about 1 hour out of the country, you are either in a woodland to the south, or you are in a desert to the north. Uganda is seated in such a location that provides us with nearly everything that we need. So such a beautiful, and I can give you just a few examples. My colleague here has just mentioned that we've got more than 1,000 plus, 1,008 or 1,000, that number of species. In Africa, the whole of Africa, there are about 2,300 different species of birds. Uganda has got
pretty much half of that.
We have got, yes, about half of what is, with our smaller size, 236 square kilometers, very, very small. Uganda is one of the tiny countries in Africa, but we've got more than half of the species that are found on the African continent. Despite that, we don't have some habitats, we don't have mangroves, we don't have deserts, we don't have the sea, but despite that, we have got such, and this one also occurs in other groups. It is not only birds. We're only talking about birds today. But even when you look at plants, when you look at mammals, when you look at diversity of habitats themselves.
Sometimes birds have to be where there is those kinds of things.
Yes.
Certain kind of animals, that's where the birds will be. There's certain kind of greenery or something like that. Yeah. Some birds are in those places because they survive on that as well.
No. They are actually, when you look at different habitats, different habitats have different species. So, for example, when you go to wetlands, there are birds that actually occur in wetlands, like what you see on the screen, bathing. Yes. So there are birds that are found in wetlands, but you are not going to find them in the forest. When you go in the forest, you find there different types of groups. If you go in open water, you find different types of birds, which don't go to the forest, which don't go to the wetland. If you go to the grassland, then you find different types of birds. And this actually comes back to the question that you raised earlier about the beauty of Uganda and this diversity that we're talking about. Because in Uganda, you can find all these different habitats. If you go to the west, you find forest. You go in the central here, you go to forest and wetlands. You go to the north, you get semi-arid regions that have got different groups of species. Of course, we have got vast amounts of water. And I can tell you something that you probably didn't know, is that there are birds that are here today, but go somewhere else to breed or do something else and come back. For example, about 200 species of what my colleague has mentioned, they come here in September, October, November, December, in January, and Feb. They fly back to the Palearctic regions. No, Palearctic regions are areas around Russia and Europe there. So they go there and breed. After they have got the young ones, they grow, and then they come back here. So actually the birds that we have are not only the Ugandan birds.
Locally.
We actually have global species. We've got species that come here to feed when it is winter in Europe, and when it is summer, they also go back to Europe. So when we are conserving these species, and I think we are going to probably talk about conservation, we are not only going to conserve species for Uganda, we are actually conserving a global resource. This way we talk about conservation is that we are not doing it ourselves. We are doing it for the global community. It shouldn't be a Ugandan issue. It shouldn't be Ugandan government or Ugandan agencies to do the conservation of these species, because they are not only important for us, but they are important for the global community. But I think we're going to talk about conservation maybe later.
Because that's what I was going to tell you. In terms of conservation and making sure that we sustain and, have, because some of them I'm thinking, oh, we have that too. But what have we done really? We come back down to, as a country, do we see effort in conserving this particular species, or even generally?
I will mention a few things and then let my colleague also, because I think the conservation of biodiversity, as we're talking about it, the conservation of nature in Uganda lies in the young people. We've done our part, we continue to do our part, but we need to train the younger generation to move it, to take it to another level. I think in terms of conservation, a lot has been done at different levels. And maybe we should have had a government person here. I wouldn't talk on behalf of government, but I'd say in terms of policy and legislation, we have got good laws, we have got very good policies in Uganda to conserve our diversity. Those are there, and very beautiful, very, very good, well written. Sometimes we fail on implementation, but the laws are there. Secondly, government of Uganda for a long time have put in place certain measures to conserve this resource. We have national parks, for example, areas that have been reserved to protect this diversity. We have got forest reserves. We have got wetlands systems that have also been designated as important. Sometimes they're called Ramsar sites, or wetlands of international importance. All this has come out to make sure that we don't lose this rich resource. So a lot has been done. But also outside, I've talked about protected area systems, but even outside protected area systems, people have started coming up with interesting initiatives, interesting interventions. Communities have come up to protect sites because they know they're important to them. They are protecting wetlands, they're protecting forests, they're protecting areas that are important, and they have even started generating money from it. We have been running a small project at one of the sites just across here in Mpigi. It's in Mpigi, across Mpigi, actually it is a Wakiso district thing. It's called Mabamba Wetland. About 15 years ago, nobody knew Mabamba Wetland. But we went there and we found there are some specific unique things there, unique species, like the shoebills, for example. And we found that they can easily be observed, they can easily be seen. So what we did was to work with the local communities and show them that, hey guys, you have got a resource here. We have got gold, these days we say Uganda Zabo. We have got gold here. You need to take it over and do something about it. Today, and she's a guide, she can tell us more, there are probably very few bird watchers who will come to Uganda and will not want to reach Mabamba. And when they go there, they buy a few stuffs there, they pay for the boat, they pay for the guide, the local communities get money. And the communities are starting to wake up to say, it's not only about national parks and forest reserves, we can actually protect areas within our community, within our landscapes, and we can also benefit from them.
There is a time I went towards the east, was it? And we were in a couple of homes, because I have a colleague dealing in sorghum and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the children playing, because they saw bugs, it was a game, started shooting stones at them, throwing stones at them. And I kept telling the kids, bad, but you realize that in some communities, probably people do not take keen interest in some of these things. We're thinking, after all, so many birds out there. If the child hit one, you've seen. But we've also seen young children that have been taught that if you see a bird that is hurt or injured, you try and put it aside, away from harm's way, or things like that. But we don't have people in communities that pretty much are concerned about these things. Now you are a guide.
Yes.
Have you seen things like this, even when you're out there in the communities and you're rushing out to see the different birds? Because some of them, like you said, are on the move all the time. You can probably go throughout the whole country looking for one particular bird.
Yeah.
But have you seen this? Are these some of the things you've identified that maybe we're lacking one or another in terms of individuals, communities?
Yes, I have seen some of this actually. Some time back, I saw my neighbor at home, and this little kid was chasing after a weaver. A weaver is a very small bird, about this size, and he was chasing after it, and I felt, no, this should not be. I didn't expect to see this in Kampala, because oftentimes we hear these people in the northeast stoning birds. They use this catapult.
Yeah.
And I was really sad. I stood and looked at this little boy, and he was also chasing it with another elder brother. I stood and I looked at him. I made sure I looked at him with this look of no.
That is not right.
and he left. They felt shy and stopped. And then there's this other incident. This was around Doho rice scheme in Mutaleja, and these guys had a pigeon, and they had they had plucked off the flight feathers. Ooh. When you take off the flight feathers, it cannot fly. Yeah, they'll just walk. So we looked at this boy and were perplexed. So we went and we asked him, can we buy it off you? We gave him, we asked him how much he wanted. He said 3,000, but we gave him 2,000 shillings. And he was happy, so we got it and we released it. Unfortunately, in releasing it, then we realized the flight feathers were out. It could not fly. So after driving a few meters away, the boys came and picked it up again. And sometimes you have limits. If you tell him don't do it, and he does it again, sometimes you just have to. Yeah.
Can't do much, really.
You can't do much.
Yeah.
So my colleagues told me, the people around here, they eat, some of these pigeons are domesticated.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they told me some of these pigeons are domesticated, and they use it as food. So that is the challenge that we have.
Like how everyone else eats chicken.
Yes. So that's
interesting. But let me ask though, real quick. You're the young now in this business, if I could call it.
Yes.
Let's look at how much we've seen an influence. We've seen young people involve themselves and be a part of this. Some people may think it's a luxury. You know? Some people may not understand that it is a product. That it is a form of earning or living. But take me through that.
So looking at most of the conservation, all these things, if we need people to understand them, we have to start right from the grassroots. I was once a young birder. I started bird watching at 10 years, but I thought this was just looking at birds. You go out, you make friends, you eat snacks. But as I grew up, I got to appreciate it as a hobby, as a form of employment, something I could do for a job. Birders pay well. maybe I should say this, we earn in dollars. I won't say how much exactly, but
don't release a secret.
Yes, that is a secret. So we realized there are so many graduates coming from university, and everybody is looking at a white-collar job. I want to sit in an office, but those jobs are not there anymore. You have to be creative, and looking at tourism as a growing product in Uganda, and the fact that bird watching, we have the birds, and we have a lot of bird watchers coming to see these birds, and the number of bird guides is still low. So we thought by promoting this in young people, the university graduates, those that are freshly graduated and are looking for jobs, we thought that would be the best way to intervene in conservation, because if someone can appreciate something as a source of livelihood, then it means they're happy to protect it.
Okay, but do you see willingness? Do you see people take this on, as quickly as it should?
Yes.
Especially the young people.
Yes, definitely. The first time is always, these guys are cool, they hold binoculars, the type of dressing we put on. So someone comes, someone comes because they're attracted to the uniform, to the tools.
Not willing to put in the hard work.
Yes, but later on, they get to appreciate along the way as they make friends. If you become my friend and I'm a bird watcher, you have no choice but to do what I do. Okay. So as time goes on, they learn to appreciate it and take it as it is.
Now, conservation is indeed a very, very wide topic.
Yeah.
But let's look at as a product. Okay, is this something that we feel has been taken on entirely as a product in tourism? Because tourism is large as well for us as a country. Yeah. Is this something we feel has peaked?
It's been growing. Like other tourism products in Uganda, it has been growing relatively slowly, but surely, as they say. I remember in the mid 1990s, 96, 97, there were relatively few birders. It was like mainly an academic thing. If you talked about birding and ornithology, and people thought, these are Makerere, like you're talking about Makerere students, this is an academic thing. And so when you are carrying this kind of equipment, and I remember I was arrested more than 5 times, yes, whenever I would be out. Now things are okay. Yeah. More than 5 times, and police would be asking me, you young man, what are you doing with these things? Where do you get them? These are not, because it was not understood. Yeah. That you can just be out there watching birds. Some people would think that you are wasting time, you don't have anything to do, you are still a young, energetic young lady. Why are you wasting time? That's what they used to say in the mid and late 1990s. But it picked up slowly. After we had seen people getting interested to come and go out and watch birds, it started picking up slowly. I think now it has grown. Our estimate, we are probably getting between 5,000 and 10,000 birders. The people who come really looking for birds, we get more tourists looking for many other things. But those who come,
it's a whole event internationally where people go around the globe.
No, it's a billions of dollars product, billions of dollars tourism product. But in Uganda, I think we're getting probably somewhere between 5,000 and 10,000 birders. But if you imagine how much, she said they earn in dollars. I'm not a guide, so I never get to earn that kind of money. Maybe I should change. But it is estimated that an ordinary birder, an ordinary tourist looking for birds, will spend about somewhere between $1,500 and $3,500 every year. That's a trip. Okay, so if you make it an average of say about $2,000 per person coming to spend this money every year in Uganda, then here you are talking about somewhere between $15 and $20 million that is being brought in by birders, the people who are only looking for birds. So it's a big business. We are talking about big business here. $20 million is big business, but we need to grow it. We need to grow it. We need to get more. So first of all, to grow it, you need to conserve these birds.
Exactly.
So for me, from the conservation point of view, is that you need to conserve these birds. You need to conserve these sites where the birds stay. We need to make sure that our national parks are well protected, our forest reserves are well protected, our wetlands and all these sites we've been talking about are well protected. Because that's the number one thing that attracts these people. Then secondly, we need to get these many guides. Because if you get 10,000 people, assuming everyone came on their own, you would probably need 10,000 guides to take them out. So we don't have them. So we need to train more. We need to train more people to be able to support this industry. But also there are infrastructure that is required for these people to be able to come and see these birds. If they go to a forest, you need to have a clear path where they should pass to go and see the birds. I think in the guiding language they call it a trail. You need to create a trail for them to be able to see these birds. If they go to the water, they need to find there a decent boat which they can use to go out and see the birds. If they go to a good vantage point, because sometimes you don't need to move around, you need to stay in one place and watch. You need things they call observatories.
I'm told sometimes you see it
observing
one particular.
Yes, exactly. So you need to wait somewhere. You need observation decks. You need observatories. So you need infrastructure to be put in place so that these people can come and become comfortable. Because if we make them comfortable now, then they are going to come next time, and they're going to tell somebody else to come to the same country.
The people in lodging should make good money as well.
Yes.
In those places like cabins.
Absolutely, yes, yes,
tents
absolutely,
and
yes,
things like
yes,
that.
yeah.
But I don't know, have we really tapped into this particular product as a country at large? If we look at the general picture, have we tapped into this, taken advantage of what we have?
Let me say one thing, and then I will, because she's a guide, so she
yeah.
knows the things
much,
better than me. Uganda has got a comparative advantage. We have got an advantage over many other countries in the region. Uganda, first of all, is a well-accessible country. You can access each and every point of Uganda with ease, and I say with the security, really, I don't think we still have any part of Uganda that is insecure to go to. You can go to any place. So which means theoretically you can watch each and every bird you want to see in Uganda because you can access anywhere. Secondly, there are birds that you can see here that you cannot see anywhere else. So you can only find them here. Or at least you can easily find them here. For example, a shoebill is not only found in Uganda. You can find it in the swamps in Sudan, in South Sudan. But who wants to go to South Sudan to go in the swamps to look for these birds? So if you want the shoebill, you come to Uganda. That's where you're going to find it. So we have got a comparative advantage, and we need to take advantage of it. But let me leave it to the guide to explain.
Have we taken advantage of this?
Yes, we have in a number of ways. Like my colleague has said, the road networks have improved, security has improved. We now have the tourism police, specifically tourism police. You must have seen them around. As bird guides, we are training more and more guides because we are receiving more tourists, and these keep growing over time. So we are training more guides. We are trying to train the young people, the young birders, the women birders, and then there are also events that have been created to tap in this. We have the Big Birding Day, that is to create awareness about the birds that we have in Uganda. There is a new event, the African Birding Expo, that attracts international birders, bloggers, writers, and once these people come to the country, when they go back, they're able to create publicity within their networks, and then we get more tourism coming in because tourism is majorly a word of mouth. I went to Uganda, I saw the shoebill, I loved it. They are good people, they are hospitable, and then someone will be convinced to come. So yes, we are definitely tapping with all these efforts and many others.
Yeah, I feel like it's booming now.
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, now before we get into the birding day itself, because that for me is very intriguing and I'm really interested. But real quick, do you see us probably in a couple of years, every year do you see a number increase?
Yes, the numbers are increasing, and also there are other efforts like we travel out, the birdwatchers travel out of the country for the other international events where we go to market, we sell.
And probably see more birds.
Yes, and see more birds as we exchange with other international birders.
Okay.
And when we do that, we always realize every time you go out, you win a new client.
Okay,
you win new 2, 4, 5 clients, and having 5 additional clients or even 1 is still an improvement. So yes, the product.
Let us talk about the big birding day, please, because I'm super excited about it. I don't know what it entails, or if you have events that come with. Just please give it all to me so that we can know what is going on and so that the public also could understand really.
Okay. But before that, can I add just one little point to what my colleague has mentioned? The tourism is growing. There's no question about that across the sector. We need to create more products. I've mentioned to you how birding developed. Some of us had to have it rough to get it in place, to get it done. But there are so many things that we can do in Uganda. There are a lot of things that we can show. Birding is one of the things. The big 5, as it used to be called, the elephants and lions and things like that. They're there. More recently, mountain gorillas have become a very big hit. But we can develop more products. These are not all that we can offer. We can offer more to the global community.
Okay, sorry,
but
before,
they also
before you go into what I'd asked about, I think were you still adding on that?
Yes, I just wanted to add one thing. One other thing that we need to do to strengthen this sector and the product. Things are interrelated. Yeah. And with this global village and this internet communication and the media frenzy and this WhatsApp and things like that, everything that happens everywhere is easily thrown out and everybody's watching. In other words, the world is watching on us. The world is seeing us. So whereas we are doing the guiding, we are doing the conservation, we are promoting the tourism, but we need to connect back with the other sectors of government. For example, you have seen things happening on our streets. So, the Uganda Tourism Board is in London, they are promoting Uganda, and they're saying, hey, Uganda is a very beautiful country, and then the next thing you see on TV, there are people being arrested on the street, people are being tear gassed on the street. It creates a little bit of
paint our picture.
Yes, we need because unless we make our country look attractive, unless we make it attractive, make it
upon us.
when I grew up, they used to say Uganda is the most hospitable country. It was our brand. And I think we need to promote that brand. We need to promote that brand. It is something that is getting lost. We need to promote that brand, that we are hospitable. We
keep our dirty linen and we put
exactly
in it. Now, real quick, before I know I had asked you about the birding event, but before that, how are you finding this as a young woman in the field? Because honestly, I would think, okay, so basically entire lifestyle is going to be different. Most women will not be willing to be into something like that. But do you see that, first of all, as a young woman, how this has been for you, and then we shall get into if we see many women wanting to be a part of this anyway.
Okay, so it's a little bit challenging when you go out and you find you're very few. The first thing is, of course, sometimes people give you this look of, are you sure you're doing this? Are you not a tomboy? Are you normal? We get a lot of those questions coming to us. When are you getting married? And I'm like, of course I will. But because bird watching to me is like a form of livelihood. It's my job. Yeah. And if it is a job, it is part of me. I have to do it. Yes, I love it. I have to do it and do it well. So we are currently training women, and we use us that are already there to inspire others, to tell them you can do this. You can go to the forest for 2 weeks without being at your home. So we are trying to demystify that. We're trying to demystify the saying that the popular saying of women belong to the kitchen. So we are trying to
the forests are also dangerous. I don't know.
No, they are not.
Interesting. So I'm pretty much speaking like some of them would, aren't I? Saying it's forests.
No, with time you get used. And
forests
I invite you to join us.
To women.
That's what I was going to say.
If they were
Woman is
dangerous
anywhere, and every job has indeed its own challenges. Now, real quick, let us take a look as we wind up at the Big Birding Day. Yes.
So the wording is the Big Birding Day.
Okay.
So it's a day, it's a big day. We go out and show the beauty of birds to everybody. So here we've been talking about me, there's some scientists who studied birds or something like that. Here we've got a guide, who plant all the birds and all the calls, and they know every little twitch that happens in the forest. If you go with them in the forest, you can't see things, you hear things, and they will tell you that is so and so, that is so and so, that's so and so, and because they have studied that.
So
little.
You take pictures of them sometimes.
Yes.
Yes.
For proof or evidence worth counting.
And also we use the pictures to attract clients.
Okay.
Yeah.
What I know is that people are very competitive on that. I have this number of birds. Here's the proof.
Yes, yeah. So yes, but the ordinary person. So we can deal with that. We can deal with the technical nature of this subject.
Yes.
But we want to bring this out to the people, to the ordinary person, because I've given you examples of some communities who have already seen. Should I call it light? They've already seen the light. They have appreciated these things, and they're getting livelihood out of it. And we're saying everybody should understand this, because it is not only going to be that only community to protect the site. You need to work with the other members of the society to do it. So we want to bring this beauty out to the ordinary person. And we thought we should have a day, one day in a year, when we should take out for bird watching. That was the idea. It's not a technical exercise. It is just trying to make sure that everybody appreciates this beauty that we have been talking about. Take out everybody. Take out the children. Take out you come, you get out of the studio. Yes, get out of the studio. We go and appreciate nature out there. Because that was the purpose. So that then, if you appreciate this beauty, then we go back home, then you do something different. You're not going to kill them. You are not going to harass them. When you see, you are not going to cut where they are breeding from. You are maybe going to protect them. Maybe you are going to develop a business around this around this industry. It started in 2000, or 2001. That's when we held the first Big Birding Day. It was small.
Put out this information for the world.
Yes, it was small. I mean, it was nearly calling the people that you know, because, like you said, people. But to go out doing birding, so what? And then people later they started understanding it, and now it is a big event. Every year we go out and we show people the beauty of birds, the beauty of birding, and the importance of birding. It doesn't happen only here in Kampala. It happens all over the country. So we try to make sure that different parts of the country have got an activity. We don't cover every little place in Uganda, but we try as much as possible to get out there. We don't want to make it a Kampala thing.
Now, we're going to look at the dates there when this is happening, but also I can see you have a launch, also looking at an art exhibition, the festival. Tell me about all of these things and the dates.
Right. When I leave you with the art exhibition, because we're involved a little bit more than me. So we have dates. So we thought, if you are going to have this birding awareness, what actually do you do? How do you do the awareness? Do you go with the band around town and people sing and people know? No, what do we do? So we designed a program with 3 events. The first one we called it a launch. The launch of the Big Birding Day. And what we do on the launch is that we call people, like we are here, and tell them about this product. We have different topics. Talk about birding, talk about conservation, let people know what they are actually going to look for. And then during that launch, we register people who want to go out, and because you need to organize logistics and transport and things like that. So that day, we actually register people who want to go out. So when we register people, we choose another day when then we should go out, and that's the real big bidding day.
Okay. So the launch is on Thursday?
So the launch is on Thursday, on the 1st. On the 1st, this Thursday, we shall be at the Uganda Museum. We have got very good speakers. We have got Dr. Wilbur Ahebwa from Makerere University, who's going to tell us about investing in biodiversity conservation for the benefit of people. Indeed. So we call people to come, and then he will be assisted as a discussant by another tourism enthusiast, in especially media, and she's Sarah Kajingo. She'll also be there. So I've got these two people who's going to give us an insight about investing in biodiversity for the benefit of people. This is what we talk about. This happens on Thursday, and then we register people who want to go and bidding.
So what's the process, though? Do I just come and register?
Just come and participate in the public talk in that launch. Then we register there. But secondly, we are going to put this form on our website, where you can register on the website. We shall put there the sites where you want to go.
Any kind of fee?
No, this is the beauty of the thing, because we want people to come and enjoy it. So we are not going to ask people to come and pay.
Oh,
come
so they can use that money to look
just
cool,
come and enjoy bidding. And then on Saturday, on Saturday the 3rd, we are going out. We are going out for the real activity. So we have got specific sites where we shall take people out. Like in Kampala here, we shall have Mabira Forest, we shall have Makanaga, it's a wetland on Lake Victoria, and then we shall have Mpanga Forest on Masaka Road. However, that's not all. You can do birding. You don't even have to come to these sites. You can do birding wherever you are. But we have worked with the National Forest Authority and Uganda Wildlife Authority, and we are going to organize teams in all national parks and selected forest reserves where we shall do where we shall do the birding. And then on the 10th, if you want me to get through the days, on the 10th we have got what they call the festival. So after we've gone out birding, those who have gone to Karamoja, those who have gone to Queen Elizabeth, those who have gone to, then we come back to be proud of what we have seen. Yes, and brag about what you have seen and what you have seen out there. Whom did you meet? Which species did you record? I've got exactly now.
Like
the ones who have
talks about 900.
Yes, the one who have done 900 will come and say, I've got 900. And by the way, we shall even award the people who have recorded the highest number.
So which means they need to have evidence.
Yes, you need to have evidence.
Yes,
and we expect that people should be genuine. You don't go in your room and start recording things on your list and come and say we recorded the number of species. And we call upon people, you come and enjoy our country.
So on the festival, what happens? You share stories, a normal festival.
So on the festival, we are working with the Uganda Tourism Board on this, because basically they are the leaders, they are the people who are spearheading all this, they are the people who are guiding us. So we are working with the Uganda Tourism Board. So we shall, apart from reporting back, we shall have a report back, that's the one. But we're also having entertainment. We are hoping to work with more young people, because we need to bring people to appreciate this. We shall have, by the way, we shall be at the Uganda Wildlife Education Center. In Entebbe. So it is a nature place. So you don't even only come for the festival, but you also enjoy the beauty around Wildlife Education Center. But you talked about exhibition.
Yes, the art exhibition.
Just say something about it.
Take us into it and when this is happening. I, for one, I love anything artistic. Right. So I'm very interested.
And by the way, before you go artistic, I believe, and many other research scientists and the people who have studied birds, that birds are the most beautiful animals on earth.
Oh, that is.
So when you just go out there, it is not just saying this is a marab stock, this is a vulture, this is an Oreo or whatever. They're beautiful.
They come in
absolutely. You just go there one time and you are trapped. The day I will take you for bird watching one day, you're never going to come back to the studio.
I will say more. Interesting. Take us through the.
Yes, like you've been discussing, sometimes the beauty of of a bird or a creature is appreciated through a picture, through a drawing. So we are going to have an exhibition with our very own birds made in Uganda. It's going to be done by a colleague, Matthias Mugisha, and it's going to be at
Sheraton.
Oh, Sheraton.
Sheraton,
Yes, and date?
7th is confirming there's a lot of
So what happens there? Can people really get themselves a painting or two?
Oh yes, first of all, it is showing you, because as you said, you can appreciate the things in many different ways, in art or in a photograph, or and this one decided to do photography, and is going to display this, and is showing, and there you see it very close to you. And I'm sure you'll also be selling them, those who don't have them in their
probably
houses.
selling them at a very
friendly price.
Affordable. I do hope so.
Because
that would be good on the 7th at Sheraton.
Yes, please.
So if you're a lover of the arts, in terms of photography, you know, as an art exhibition, there's a way sometimes different people capture things different ways. So I think that would be very interesting to see that. If you would love to have that, to show that you're a lover of nature or the birds themselves, that would be very good if you had a piece of something like that in your home, or you know, we have weddings, give it to a friend or two, I don't know. But well, in conclusion, as we wind up here, so that we can move on.
Right. First of all, thank you very much for hosting us. But I mean, we thank UBC for always hosting us. We're here on World Animal Day. We are here promoting birding and inviting people to come to this event. You come to the museum on Thursday, the 1st, and we talk about the beauty of Uganda. We talk about the beauty of nature. We talk about how you can participate. On Saturday, the 3rd, we shall also meet at the Uganda Museum very early at 6 o'clock. You come, and then we take you out to appreciate the beauty of birding. And then on the 10th, which will be a Saturday after, you come and join us at Uganda Wildlife Education Center so that we can celebrate and enjoy the beauty, the Zabu of Uganda. Yes, exactly. Thank you.
I would say my conclusion, I would like to invite you, first of all, to join the Uganda Women Birders. I have a pair of binoculars for you. Yes, and I further appeal to the young people. There are jobs out there. Please, you're welcome to join us in the birdwatching world and create a livelihood for yourself.
Indeed, indeed. I, for one, am intrigued by this because all I've done is see it in the movies.
No, come and see the real birds.
and have a colleague of mine talk about it like I'm going to become a birder and things like that, and show off about the number of species I've seen. But I think it would be very good if we interest ourselves in things like this. It may not just be the birds. You never know. You could be interested in plants or whatever it might be.
Butterflies.
Butterflies. There's so many things to really jump onto and take advantage of, if I could use that word.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way, but take advantage of what we have in nature. Of course, with me right here is Judith Mirembe, who is indeed one of the officers at Nature Uganda and also chairperson Uganda Women Birders, and at the extreme end, Achilles Byaruhanga, who is of course the executive director at Nature Uganda. Very, very clean and precise there in terms of conservation, in terms of involving ourselves and taking on with this particular product, birding. That's what we had for you in GMU Agenda. Don't go away.
Thank you very much. Thanks for hosting us. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
with the best mid-morning entertainment. We bring you the latest in showbiz.
He actually has already asked me for my hand in marriage way before I was even pregnant.
Topical issues.
So, as I told you, I want to become a business tycoon. Maybe I'll start with a restaurant.
Yeah.
Fashion, tech and gadget news, and your countdown. Join us Monday to Thursday, 10 a.m. Jam 101. We set the pace.
Talking about the best, I said my name is involved. Yeah.
Uganda's fertile agricultural land has the potential to feed 200 million people. We are gifted by nature with natural water resources, a diverse domestic animal portfolio, and intense forestry resources. In sub-Saharan Africa, Naro is the center for excellence for best practice and plays a critical role in agricultural transformation, innovations, pest and disease management, lakeweed control, solutions for animal productivity, and outreaches to both large and small-scale farmers across the country. Watch Agricultural Research for Transformation on UBC on Sundays at 6:30 p.m. and learn how to get more out of your farm and Naro's contribution to the changing face of agricultural productivity in Uganda with real success stories from real farmers.
Good morning, Uganda. It is that time that I and Felix have to walk away and let Ruben in. But before we do that, Ruben probably has a lot of things for us this morning. He seems to be, I can't read Ruben today. I don't know what kind of mood he's in. But you were talking about some of yesterday's games.
Sure.
Very interesting, very interesting. But you guys were talking about some of yesterday's games.
Yeah, of course. Ruben, I think we're bringing that. I think there's Man U, we have Arsenal, which drew, we have Madrid and Barcelona, 5 goals. That was a big message to the absence of Ronaldo, I guess. You can imagine.
No, but you cannot like unpack that Masaza Cup, the final was played on the Nambole, and they turn up. And when they turn up, for me, I would actually love to ask Fufa and when Scopa Leaf. I mean, if you have Cup Nambole up beyond capacity, and some is actually seated, enjoying the people.
Many people turned up because it was.
No, because Katona Omusi Yamadewali, you know, Sawasaja is God. So to us is God.
Okay, I will not.
I believe.
I will not. These two are not going to stop here. So what we're going to do is let Ruben take us on eventually with the sport, and I will not disturb or disagree with his school of thoughts. That one is totally for him to take on. But before we leave this place, we have a quote for you now. Try to leave the earth a better place than when you arrived, because remember, you found people here, the people who found you, the people you're going to leave, the people who left before you. So how about adding a thing or two before you leave this earth?
You don't even have to add, just leave it the way you found it.
Don't even,
yeah, don't
reduce,
because you don't even know how to do that.
No, we need to learn how to provide back and
just
take
leave the
back
world
and
the
give
earth
back
as you found it
to the earth, because what we're doing is take and take, and it is now coming back and biting us. Take that with you as we wind up, and let Ruben take you on up to 9 a.m. I'll have a debate there on his school of thought in terms of who's good and who's not. But from me, Rona Kachum.